Hi, I'm Christopher Warnock of Renaissance Astrology, and today I'm going to talk about health talismans, constellation talismans, and our new Centaurus talisman, which is a constellation health talisman. I just want to talk about health talismans first and give some examples. The first thing I would say about health talismans is that I think that, sometimes people come to me and they'll say, which talismans did I get to cure this terminal cancer? And it's like, I'm really reluctant to say to somebody, yeah, buy this talisman, it's going to cure your cancer. In fact, can almost guarantee that's not going to happen. The talisman all by itself is not going to cure some serious medical condition. So, and again, with any kind of magic, you really can't expect that you're going to 100% get a guaranteed result. Anyone that says they can guarantee the results is just messing with you. It's not true. That doesn't mean that they can't be helpful. I tend to look at talismans, Renaissance astrology talismans, because we take a devotional approach, like prayer. It's definitely good. Someone's sick, you want to pray for them. If you were sick, you want to do everything you can. Obviously, you want to take, conventional medicine, alternative medicine. But, if it's a significant situation you would throw into the mix, a talisman, it's certainly not going to hurt. The other thing is just to preventatively, so I think that's in some ways some of the most effective is to have health talismans, and have them essentially going continuously. I think that's very helpful in terms of preserving health, as well as, doing the normal stuff like eating right and, not being overweight and not smoking and, taking care of yourself. So when we talk about health talismans, from a planetary standpoint, really what I would be focused on for most people is looking at planets would be the sun. Sun is natural rule of the heart, center of the solar system, really key in terms of a lot of health issues. Also really good for uplifting, for mood lifting. St. John's wort, which is a natural antidepressant, is ruled by the sun, not surprisingly. If you just think about the difference between a cloudy day and a sunny day. I was taking a walk today, and the wind was blowing, the clouds came over, it started raining, and I was like, oh, it's just cold. And then suddenly the clouds cleared off, the sun came out, and all of a sudden it was even hot. So, that's really the sort of influence that you're getting from the sun. So from a planetary basis, I would say sun. So classic sun, this is a sun image. This is our basic sun image, and this is the one that we use for our Sun King talismans, which is like a key design. You can see the Sun King here, same design. This design of the king on a throne with a raven comes right out of Picatrix. Classic design, and again, this is, like I said, good all around. And sun, most people, unless the sun is in Libra or Aquarius in natal chart, is almost, the sun's fine for you. In any other sign other than that, it doesn't get retrograde, it doesn't get combust because the sun does the combustion. So the sun is, very few contraindications for the sun with people's charts. So good health talisman. Okay, so what if you want something that's specifically for health? So we have a number of talismans that we've made because people do come and say, I want a health talisman. What do our sources say? What can we get specifically for health? We have a number of talismans, but these are not planetary talismans. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Capella. It's the little goat, and this is the image of Capella. This comes with the talisman. You can see the goat there and the sigil of Capella. And so it's supposed to be very medicinal. It's very good for health, and it's also good for success. And then you can see the really beautiful design here. You can see the goat head design. Gorgeous talismans. So this is a fixed star. Okay, I'm going to talk a little about those later, along with the constellations. The next talisman I want to talk about is Cygnus, which is a constellation talisman, the constellation of the Swan. You can see here's the image of Cygnus. Cygnus is good for riches, for love, for great knowledge, and also for health. So this is a talisman that I've been really happy with it. Beautiful design, and has a very wide range, very useful. So again, this is another good health talisman. And you can see the beautiful swan image there on the talisman. Gorgeous. And so again, what I'm announcing today, though, and this is if it's too much after April, we should have these in stock for a while, but we went out of stock of these. We were super powerful, popular and powerful talismans. People were very happy with them. We sold a lot of them, and then they sold out the whole casting, and that's Centaurus. Okay, you can see the image of Centaurus. Centaurus is a centaur, not surprisingly. Different from Sagittarius. This is a separate constellation. And again, beautiful image here. You can see on the talisman, the centaur image. Centaurus is said by the sources, Albertus Magnus, to give constant good health. It's also good for wisdom. The centaur was the tutor of Achilles, so a source of wisdom, source of teaching. So a very powerful talisman for wisdom as well. But really, this is one, probably with Capella, if people are saying, I need a health talisman, what's a talisman that's specifically focused on health, I'd probably be going for Capella and also for Centaurus. Those are the two talismans that we've made that really are, that's their primary function, even though they do other stuff as well. So if you would like a health talisman, if you're looking for that, preventative, or like I said, if somebody's ill and you want to see if you can do everything you can to help them out, then these are great talismans to take a look at. And you can see the links to those on the page. You can take a look at them on the site. We try to keep these in stock, but like I said, as with Centaurus, they sell out and then they're gone. So let me say a little bit about constellation talismans. It's interesting because when I first started doing astrological magic, 20 more years ago, people were a little weirded out by astrological magic, but at least they were comfortable with the planets. They talk about planetary talismans. They sort of had a sense of, maybe what Jupiter is or the sun is or whatever, and so they were comfortable with that. And I start bringing in fixed stars, and they get a little weirded out. They're not really comfortable with that. They haven't really heard of fixed stars. It just makes them a little tetchy. What I've noticed is, come to 2024, people love fixed stars. Fixed stars are becoming their knowledge of modern astrology basically is expanding, but they're becoming aware of more and more of these astrological factors. And fixed stars are really cutting edge right now. People are very excited about them, really into them. And so I'm finding an increased acceptance, which is great because with astrological magic, it's not just planets. You have this incredibly full toolkit. And so my view is that every celestial factor has a spirit. And so the planets, obviously, the fixed stars, the decans, the mansions of the moon, each of those has at least one angel and probably an infinite, my sense would be an infinite number of angels, an infinite number of and beings, daemons, demons, all sorts of different spirits associated with these astrological factors. Now, the thing is that our traditional sources only lists, for example, the names, if you're going to contact a spirit, you kind of want to know its name for a limited number of things. And also, what do they do? It's interesting with fixed stars. There are over 1,000 visible fixed stars, and yet we have in what they're called the Behenian fixed stars, the Hermes and the 15 fixed stars, and again, you can see our translation there. Dequindecim Stellis is the Latin title for basically 15 fixed stars. We have 15 of them that we have an image. We have the purpose of the talisman, what it does. We have what it rules. And we have a sigil. So we have a way of working with that fixed star because we know what its properties are, we know what it does, we know what its kind of area of expertise is, and we also know how to contact it because we have the sigil. We can make talismans. We know what kind of things we could use. Incense, for example, things it rules. Algal, for example, rules mugwort. I'd use that as incense for algal. So that's 15 out of 1,000. So really what we're doing, and now Fomalhaut is a fixed star in the southern fish, and it's very prominent in my natal chart. I feel like I have a strong connection to it, and I was inspired basically to work with this. I don't feel like it was coming from the ego self, and I actually, again, was sort of manifested to me the sigil, looked kind of like a fish. So I've sort of expanded that, and I did some divination. I got some positive results back that, I should keep working with it. So I was able to expand from the 15 now to the 16 fixed stars. So kind of a slow progress to the 1,000. But I think that's really what's necessary. The original sources here, there wasn't like the academics think that someone just made it up. It's like a novel. This was originally given to people from the spirits, either in dreams and visions or whatever. Again, there's a certain popularity of the magic squares that mechanically produce this stuff. I mean, that's not invalid, but I do believe that the vast majority of the information that we have about these celestial spirits came directly from the spirits in one form or another. So again, I think we have an incredible opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't just do it willy-nilly. Oh, I just call them up just to have contact with them. I think you want to actually have a reason for it. It's a bit like a judge. I mean, if you need to contact the judge for a real reason, you can do that. But if you just won't call them up to say, hey, how you doing? I just thought I would call you up. That's not something that's not respectful. Not something you want to be doing with being just, oh, I'm just going through the list like a scavenger hunt or something like that. Not really inappropriate. But if you need something that's within their purview and you're going to contact them respectfully, that's the way to do it. And also, like I said, to move slowly rather than, on the other hand, you want to flip into the whole what I call source fascist. That says, well, it's not in the book, so we can't do anything and we're stuck. If it wasn't done in 1650, we can't do it now. And then, again, there's a middle path between just willy-nilly making stuff up or just blindly, bumbling around and refusing to do anything at all. So you kind of hit that sweet spot in the middle there of respectfully extending the current knowledge that we have and making contact with these spirits. So like I said, 1,000 visible fixed stars. These were traditionally arranged in 48 constellations. And so there's the 12 zodiacal constellations and then 36 extra zodiacal constellations. And so the constellations themselves also have a spirit. And it's really kind of, what the relationship between the fixed stars, for example, Centaurus, a very large southern constellation, and includes the star that's closest to Earth, Alpha Centauri. And it says Alpha means the brightest star in the constellation of the Centaur. So what the exact relationship is between the fixed stars and the constellations is, I think, mysterious. I think they're connected, but I also think, and for our practical purposes, there's a distinction too, that the stars in a constellation can be separately approached and have their own separate powers and spirits and things like that. But really, my approach to the constellations has basically been to treat them very much like fixed stars. And that's, what I kind of my natural inclination. But I found from Marsilio Ficino, he talks about contacting, for example, the Great Bear, which which is a constellation, and he treats it just like a fixed star. And that's, I think, typical of the traditional approach is to see them, because essentially you've got the 7 planetary spheres, and then above them is the sphere of the fixed stars, and sometimes you have the sphere of the zodiac. Sometimes there's more than one, but definitely that sphere of the fixed stars is above the planetary spheres. And in this traditional geocentric cosmology, the higher in the sense of the spheres, the more powerful, the more all-inclusive they are. So the constellations of fixed stars, constellations are made up of fixed stars. Again, I said the logic of treating them similarly, I think, is there. And certainly I'm just kind of following along the guidance that's been given in the traditional sources, kind of following the lead. But really, if you see everything is being ensouled, everything is having a spirit. We certainly have a number of these traditional sources. Again, our translation of Celestial Gems and Sigils, which is translation of some medieval lapidaries and even older classic lapidaries, contain these constellations. So it's very much part of our traditional practice. The magical use of them is very clear in our sources. How to use them, again, Ficino treats them like a fixed star. Essentially, you have them rising. What I'm tending to do with constellation talismans, a fixed star is easy because it's very small. It's less than a degree. So it's going to be at a specific degree of the zodiac. The constellations can be very large. Centaurus, as I was mentioning, is a very large constellation. So what I tend to do is to pick a marker star, and I'll use that rising or culminating as the timing for the election, with the moon applying either by a conjunction, sextile, or trine, just like a fixed star talisman. And I try to find a fixed star that's more or less in the middle. You could also do the alpha star. I've seen people suggest that. I think that makes sense. It's sort of like the leading star. It's part of the constellation. When people start talking about the beginning of the constellation, though, that would be difficult because it's very hard to tell where the boundaries of the constellations are. That's one of the problems with this whole Age of Aquarius thing. Where does the constellation Aquarius start? A lot of debate about that. So again, one of those problems. But I don't think, like I said, even though I'm choosing marker stars in the middle, I don't think it's at all unreasonable to do the alpha star as a rising or culminating as a way to do the constellation. It's reasonable. So essentially, like I said, what I see the constellations are is an extension of the fixed stars, the practice. I mean, they're different. They contain fixed stars. I think they have different qualities to them, but you can see we're already guided. We have a lot of information about the constellations from our traditional sources. Tell us what the image is, because obviously, like Centaur is a centaur. So there we've got the image, and we've also got what their effects are. We don't have sigils for them necessarily, but one of the cool things is I found a modern artist who is creating sigils of the various constellations, and so I think that's really exciting. I'll include a link to that as well, and you can see the sigils. And now I started to use those on our talismans. For example, the Cygnus talisman on the back here, you can see it's a little hard to see. There's a Swan sigil that I got from this modern thing. And again, I thought it was, a really cool signal. It's very beautiful. I thought they really captured the essence of the constellation, and therefore I think it's appropriate to use. And this idea that we can only use it if it's in a book from 500 years ago, I mean, somebody at some point manifested it. I don't think they invented it from the ego self. But again, artists, that's a typical, any artist, any musician is going to have this sense of inspiration, this sense of it's coming from outside yourself. And I think that that's really what we want to capture in this whole process, is recognize this is, the connection. So very excited to have, like I said, these new Centaurus talismans. We haven't had them for a while. It's a great opportunity, I think, to talk about health talismans. I think they can be useful. Again, obviously not something you use instead of medicine or the expectation that I'm going to buy this talisman, I'm going to instantly cure. That would not, that's, I don't want anyone to go away with that impression. Nevertheless, there are popular, people have found them to be helpful. So I'm really happy to have them again. And particularly Centaurus, like I said, very interesting talisman. The wisdom aspect, I think, is really great to have along with it. But it's nice now, in addition to our other health talismans, to finally be back in stock with Centaurus. So check these out. Check out the links, the constellation, information, the books. Check out the talismans, and like I said, I think you'll be as excited about them as I am.